Welcome to the video. What I'm doing today is I'm going to be making a Pokemon tier list. Let me bring this baby up. This is my Pokemon tier list maker, or tierlistmaker.com, and this is the mainline series going up to Gen 9. I figured I've been playing this game for 25, 26 years. The only series where I played every game in the series. I thought about, Fire Emblem, various other series, and I just haven't played a lot of them. Like a good chunk of the pre-Kaga emblems, as I would call them. So what I would do is start my first selection will be red and blue. Obviously, I'm putting it right in C tier. I feel as though it's a great base level game to start with. Like it's not too hard, it's not too easy, it's not too hard, and also you get the idea of Pokemon and all its clunky, glitchy glory. Most people will put Pokemon Red and Blue in the D or E tier, but I really would not put that anywhere near that. These games weren't groundbreaking and good for, and even like ahead of their time as they are now. And they still feature various characteristics in video games that like are just rare. Like 150 characters being used at once was actually quite hard back in the day, and even nowadays with most characters being locked behind DLC, to be honest. Pokemon Yellow, I would probably put right above Red and Blue, just slightly. It's easier, which is the only reason why I'm not playing it in my current streams right now. Let me just cut that ad out. There you go. And like the Pokemon Yellow is not a bad game, I would say. It's one of my favorites in the series, but it's like I said, you get all three starters in one shot. That's pretty much the main difference. Gold and Silver will probably be B tier. I think they're great. Great to play through. Really, like one of the only region that had two regions in one outside of DLC. Obviously, I'm not really counting. I'll count DLC for the games they include, but I'm not counting against any of the old gen games. Because to be honest, a game having DLC just means that it's not as good as the one that already had it when you bought the already game. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go B tier for Gold and Silver. I liked all the Pokemon, and basically it was just a sequel to Red and Blue, but it won't be any higher than that, because I really felt like it was improved upon much later on. Crystal, I'll put below actual Gold and Silver, because like it didn't have the Mareep line, which seems weird, but it just threw me off when I was first playing it. Not a bad game, improved on Gold and Silver in many aspects, but I like Gold and Silver. I have more memories of Gold and Silver than Crystal than I have at all, I'd probably go high B tier for Ruby and Sapphire. It's better than Gold and Silver, in my opinion. More Pokemon and overall less regions. But I felt like Home was more fleshed out and more like different in many ways. Felt like more of a tropical environment, which I enjoyed more. Now getting into the big boys, I'll go into the S tier with Pokemon Emerald. To really get into it, improved on everything in Ruby and Sapphire, improved the overall Pokemon formula, and made a much better game than it's ever really was. I really, really enjoyed these games a lot, and the one that always stuck out to me, I always played the most, was Pokemon Emerald. Was it my favorite? It's one of my first three favorites of all time, so I'm gonna go with that. Leaf Green is a difficult one. I'm gonna put it lower than these three, but a low B tier. I felt like Leaf Green was just like a kind of blow by game. I played it a couple times. I played both Fire Red and Leaf Green and never touched it again. I might go back to it in my playthroughs of all Pokemon gens, but I'm probably gonna leave this one alone for a while. There's nothing wrong with it. It's better than Red, Blue, and Yellow and other games on this list. But I think it's overall not as good as these four games here. The physical special split was welcomed in this game, though, but it made a lot of Pokemon worse, and you really see the flaws. It's a good game, but I wouldn't say as good as these three, though. Diamond and Pearl is a low C tier. It just had too many slowdown moments. Great game, but it was, like I said, with many of these on this list, the reason why they're as low as they are is because they've just been improved on in later releases. Or, made worse, but only in the case of Diamond and Pearl. I'm going to go A tier for Platinum. Platinum I've spent so much time on. One of my favorite games of all time, and I played maybe 180 hours, which is high for me, because I don't really dedicate a lot of hours into games. And I have to go A tier for platinum. It's probably the low on the A tier when it comes down to it, but it's pretty much is what it is. Yeah. Gold and silver, I immediately know is going to go higher than emerald. Rearrange this. Actually, I think, yeah, I'm doing to the left better. It'll go like the worst all the way to the best to the left. So I'm probably gonna go heart gold, soul silver. Not only had better graphics, but is seen by many as the greatest Pokemon game of all time. Probably one of the most rarest ones by far away too. And also the GBA sounds was a complete another like breath of fresh air and very, very nice to just have. Pokemon Black is my favorite Pokemon game of all time. The storyline is amazing. Only having 150 Pokemon to me was a plus because I didn't have to see the same ones over and over again. And also, I use all the new Pokemon anyway whenever I play through the game. So yeah, I'm putting this at A tier. This is Black and White 2. Not bad. It just stripped some of the elements away from Black that made it the best Pokemon game in my opinion. Mainly the storyline and the inclusion of new Pokemon into the game was kind of unwarranted, unneeded. X and Y will go above. I'm gonna give it some respect. And put it low C tier, low B tier. It's not a bad game, I would say. It's one of my favorites, but like, I don't know. It just lacks a lot to me. It's definitely not a D or E tier caliber. Definitely better than these three games. If I had to get into it, it was kind of clunky for a 3D game. Ruby and Sapphire, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire will probably be A tier, high A tier. I felt like not having the Battle Tower. If it had the Battle Tower / Battle Frontier, the actual Battle Frontier from Emerald, I popped it up into the C tier. Oh boy. We're starting a whole list of games that are just not as good as they used to be. After Gen 6, it kind of just fell off pretty hard. But I have a few in here that I really, really like. Put that in D tier. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and also Sun and Moon. Just put that entire gen right there. Felt like it was just one long tutorial. The entire game felt like one long pause, wait, pause, wait, pause, wait, pause, wait. I like the Ultra Wormholes, but I don't really visit this game as often as I would say. And there's a reason why you can find these, like a million of these out there in the wild. Probably low C tier for Let's Go. It's a fun game. I think you didn't have to make the Gen 1 easier. That's what I felt like. Making Gen 1 easier was kind of like unwarranted, unneeded, I would say. Sword and Shield, y'all gonna hate me, but spiritually I put it in the S tier because it really got my Twitter account going and actually helped me, be more talkative and more like actual, S tier, and I will put it low S tier. I thought it would only be 3 games in here, but I forgot Sword and Shield made a huge impact of me as a person. The games are not very good. They would probably even be D tier or even E tier, to be honest. But with what it did for my online scope and my overall personality, it changed me as a personality. I'm just going to put this where it belongs. Widely believed to be the worst Pokemon game of all time. I don't think it's that bad, but just glitchy to where you actually get stuck in the levels before any patches is kind of like lazy. Didn't get attached to this one as many people as other people have. I'll put, Legends Arceus in B tier. It's not a bad game. I just don't think it should be in the mainline tier. I get that it is a mainline game, but I really feel like the mainline should be RPG based roamers. Not what this was kind of going for. I know this is like a new normal. I mean, you could say the same thing for Scarlet and Violet, but it just felt way too different, and that's a good thing. It's actually probably one of the best Pokemon games in this entire list, but if I'm looking at my definition of Pokemon, it's definitely B tier. Scarlet and Violet's in C. I'll probably go a high C for it. It took a lot away from Sword and Shield, improved on a lot of things, but then took away the main aspects I really liked, like the raid battles mainly. So this is my actual tier list right here. And I'll save that. And boom. And alright. This is my actual tier list. It's fluid. It can always change, and I know it'll change, but it's pretty much the definitive tier list of my experience of Pokemon. So thank you very much for watching.